So if you allow me, because I have to be up in Bel Air, I get to MC a candidate for mayor and council up there. I'm told I'm supposed to.
Don't shoot money at the crowd.
Right. So the county, if you guys recall, was put in January, and Becky took over in January. And but the county's gone through a real strategic plan analysis. All the departments kind of came to the manager and to the commission and said, hey, can we kind of redo our strategic plan? And so, and we're all absolutely. So it's all about providing services, whatever. So Misty's going to present just a quick snapshot of it. And then you guys can weigh in if there's something that's pressing from your side, saying, hey, I think the county should do this or that. We'd appreciate your feedback. I think the county's kind of rolling fairly well, delivering services. It's a little bit different. Not a lot of zoning, not a lot of stuff. They deliver services. That's what they do, from my perspective, what I've learned. So I hope that I have a lot of confidence in what Becky's done in the 9 months. And of course, she's up for to be officially elected here in a few weeks. And obviously, she's done a great job from my perspective. And we got a good one with her. So with that, if you guys have anything to question, then I'm going to have to sneak out in about 5 minutes or so. But if you have anything to Bye. Okay, that's a good one.
Drive careful.
All right, David. Thanks. All good to see you guys. And thanks for all you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that Becky, you kept most everybody here, and I know there's transition happens, and you even kept Tracy.
Trying to get rid of him still.
Just kept showing up.
Anyway, yes, David.
I was wondering if you did the right thing when you got there. Just things were a little crazy. Hired the city county manager and attorney and everything, but it just settled down so quickly. I was impressed. So I appreciate that. But you know, you've been active in the train world. I was wondering if that's still alive and where we are on that. And my daughter we were living in Palm City, and she needed some treatment up here, and about every couple of weeks, my wife and we would get on the train, go back, and it was really handy. So I was hoping we kept that initiative alive.
It is still alive, and actually made even more progress. I would say the new governor, our Kansas governor, along with our new Secretary of KDOT, Department of Transportation, they've really embraced this. There's some meetings in a couple weeks in Washington. So anyway, I think Amtrak and KDOT and us are on the same page right now. There's a good push to BNSF to give us we know what the cost of supply to service is and the revenue we feel. We do not know what the capital cost, if there is any, on the tracks. And Nick Howell's former football roommate at BNSF, Mr.
Carl Ice.
Carl Ice.
Is who you're thinking of. He wasn't my roommate ever.
He's the CEO of BNSF and happened to be a friend of Nick. So I may have to lean on Nick to kind
There you go.
of conjure up our old college friendship. But he's a CEO of BNSF.
Big
BNSF
time.
is a big time deal. So they're a little bit resistant, but I think they're being instructed or requested by our governor to do that. So we're getting closer to at least know the numbers so we can make a decision. Cindy Claycomb is taking over active on city for us. Becky's pretty aware of what's going on.
We had meetings with Amtrak in March when
Mhm. So it's all good. I mean, I wish it was there. It seems like it's been kind of a long journey, but not giving up. So
Thank you, Pete.
thank you. Good
Good
luck.
to see you.
Thanks for all you do. Okay.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Pete.
evening.
All
Thank
right.
you for your
We'll see you.
service.
Safe travels.
Thanks to Bel Air.
I gotta go all the way to Bel Air. Where is Bel Air?
Straight up Oliver.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. So thank you all for being here this evening. And if you can tell, we don't have quarter this evening. We have a special guest. But one of the things, Janet, that we always do is we start with introductions and we say who we are, what neighborhood or neighborhood association we represent or what area, and then also your favorite thing about Wichita, and you can't repeat what somebody else has said. So I'm going to start with Dee.
Okay. Dee Niswanger. I represent Whispering Lakes Estates, 159th and Perry. And my favorite thing about Wichita is, this gets harder and harder, the Sedgwick County Zoo.
Okay.
Tracy Adams, the Harrison Park area. My favorite about Wichita, and the more I travel other areas, is how clean Wichita is.
And I'm David Babish, live in Wilban, and I guess my perspective is kind of global. I've been thinking about our quality of life issue and what causes that, and how big we are, and how big our peer cities are. And do we want to be San Francisco and Baltimore and New York, or do we want to be Wichita? And I vote Wichita.
Good evening, Alicia Sanchez, Sycamore Village, 22nd and Rock Road area. My favorite thing about Wichita is the open street. So just coming off of that and just seeing all the activity, and so it's exciting to see it expand and more people come out.
I'm Becky Tuttle, and I'm blessed to be city council member representing District 2. Move is final, so I can say we're in Wilson Estate Villas, finally. It's been 10 months of process. And my favorite thing about Wichita is just the incredible diversity of opportunities that we have for engagement. Just Saturday alone, I went to 3 different events and loved them all. And it was so heartwarming that community members donate their time and their talent and their treasure when they see a need.
Nicole, Savannah, Wichita Fire Department, Police, and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, boy.
Pandering to your audience. What about library?
Man, you know you're with me.
Mike Helstaff, East Pawnee. My favorite things are the amount of events for a young family. Open Streets was one, and then chili cook-off the next weekend, so lots of them this time of year.
Keith Lane, Sierra Hills. I'll tag along kind of along the same lines, but I'm really looking forward to this month, October, and Halloween coming up. And I tell you, there's a lot of beautiful displays, especially in College Hills and that sort of thing. People really do a good job for the holidays, and I appreciate that. I like taking those in.
Janet.
You're here, Janet. They don't know who you are.
Okay, Janet, you're next.
Okay, Janet Johnson, District 3.
Two.
District 3.
That's where I live.
And
Oh,
what's your favorite thing about Wichita?
The people.
that's what I always say.
Really? We agree on something?
That's the first thing.
I'm Sam Lindeman. I live in Bonnie Bray. And I think one of the things I like, just the direction it seems that Wichita is taking now. It seems like every meeting we have something new and exciting about, we had the arts last meeting, and just exciting the direction the city's trying to go.
Awesome. Thank you all for that. We have the agenda in front of you. This may be one of the shortest agendas we have. So I would welcome a motion to approve the agenda. And can you say your name when you do it this time, just because Janet's new? Okay, that will help.
Janet Alicia.
Okay, thank you. And a second?
I'll second. She knows me.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. For approval of the minutes, Corey sent them out on Friday. Hopefully y'all had a chance to review them. I would welcome and motion to approve the minutes from September 9th.
Move to approve.
Mike Helstaff.
And a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so this is the time where we have off-agenda items. So any individual, we have 2 guests with us today that didn't speak on the public agenda. You can at this time. Do either of you want to make any comments this evening? Or just here to listen and learn?
Just here to listen.
Awesome, fantastic. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Okay, so we're gonna go right into our update, or just quick board updates. Remember, this meeting was different, and then next month will also be different. We'll be meeting on a Tuesday because of the holiday. So Mark, and we'll send out several reminders, but we won't be meeting on Monday like normal. We'll meet on Tuesday. And then the next district advisory board breakfast will be November 16th at 8:30 at the Regent. They always give us a nice warm breakfast. And we're gonna have Wildcat Construction come and talk about East Caledonia improvements. We're ahead of schedule at Caledonia Web and way ahead of schedule and ahead of schedule also at Greenwich. So we'll get some great updates from them and have a chance to have reports from departments. So we'll go right into staff reports. We're gonna start with fire. All right. So you're gonna play along and tell us your name, what your favorite thing about Wichita.
I'm Battalion Chief Dave Hirsch, down the street here on Edgemore. And probably the favorite thing about Wichita is the way they're expanding, downtown, east, west. September, I'll give you a report on September fires. It was thankfully pretty slow. Only really 2 significant fires, but one was a big at 202 North Rock Road. There's about $250,000 loss there.
Central and Rock, right? It was on a Saturday?
More closer to Second.
Second,
Rock,
okay.
yeah, between Douglas and Central on the east side of the road. And it was an electrical fire inside of a wall that traveled up the walls into the attic. That caused quite a bit of damage. They were always difficult for us to get to because we basically got to demolish the walls and the ceiling to get to put it out. So significant damage there. And then the other issue was last month, for some reason, from about the 15th on through the next weekend, there were several Molotov cocktails thrown around the city. Most of them were down south, 47th Hydraulic area, Broadway. There was one at the 159th and Limerick. I don't know, is that one of your guys' areas?
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. Didn't do a lot of damage, $500 worth of damage, but it was to a garage door. But for some reason, there's been several of them, Molotov cocktails that is. So just, I would say be aware of what's going on in your neighborhood. All of them down south were thrown from cars, moving cars. I'm not sure about the one on Limerick. It was at the back of a house, it looks like, so it probably wasn't from a car. But just be aware of your surroundings and make sure you're watching your neighborhoods.
Gang related?
No, I mean, there's some footage of the car itself and a couple of the suspects, but they haven't.
That's something you guys investigate or police or together?
Well, probably together. We initially investigated because it's fire led, but then if it's criminal, police will also cut a case on it.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you being here this evening. Thank you. Be safe.
All right, I'm Officer Ron Sanders. I'm the 39 beat coordinator out here, so I do have Savannah and a couple other guys out there. I won't remember your name. I'll remember your name. You said police first, I think. So. There's not much that I'm going to report on this one because the numbers are so steady. What that means is they're pretty close, within 5 or less. So the crime relation is there's not anything that's spiking that much, except for 2 points that I like to hit on. So one of those points is auto theft. For some reason, we're seeing auto thefts, particularly for DAP2 on motorcycles. They're around the Kellogg area, Kellogg and Woodline area, so it's right on the borderline. But the motel interdiction team is actually hitting the motels pretty hard, which are pretty common in that area over there. So we are responding to that, and we have 2 arrests on there already, and we have 2 persons of interest. So we're working it pretty hard, but motorcycle owners, just beware. We're seeing an uptick in motorcycle thefts. So the number itself is staying pretty, even, but what they're stealing has jumped up. It's went to motorcycles. So I don't have anything to share as to why. I don't have that information right now. But when we do, we'd be happy to bring that to you guys and kind of fill everyone in. The next thing is stolen guns. Now, I know we hear that quite a bit. We hear that often, but it's continuing to happen. So just since the last meeting here, so September 9th, there are 28 guns stolen, and that's quite a bit. It's almost one a night. And those guns haven't been accounted for. So a reaction to that is the partnership that we have, Operation Save a Casing. And it's a partnership with the community and law enforcement agencies, both local, state, and federal. So community members, what they can do, and this is just in a nutshell, when you have a firearm, we want to push, especially handguns, to save 2 casings. Now, you don't have to give it to the police department at any time unless your gun is stolen. So if that gun just so happens to be stolen out of a car in your house or anything like that, then you can give us those 2 casings and we can send it off and it can go into NIBIN. I'm not going to hit too much on that because there's a great, I don't want to say documentary, but explanation of what Operation Save a Casing is on the WPD Facebook and YouTube channels. So if you guys have an interest in that, please, by all means, go there and check that out. It's a really good program, and it helps out investigators quite a bit. So other than that, that's pretty much all I have. Unless anyone has any questions for me.
Is there any force that you could put on gun owners for leaving these guns in, basically it's just an imitation? I mean, to me, the owner is partly responsible.
I understand that. And what we are trying to do is go with education. We're trying to educate responsible gun ownership and try to get those guns removed from the cars, especially if you're not going to be in the car, because a gun is not a proper place to securely store a firearm. I mean, you have 4 windows, at least 2, even if you don't have any on your sides, you have the windshield in the front and back, and those are easy access. So we're pushing at that education level. There is no, as far as I know, legislation about gun ownership.
Probably not, but.
Are these guns personal guns, or are they from the store?
All the guns that I have, all these numbers are in reference to personal guns. So no gun stores that I have my numbers that I'm reporting to you on.
And it's 29, you said in District 2?
So right now there's 28 stolen from 9/9 to 8/6. So it's not counting today.
Okay.
And I just did follow up, so that's probably going to be 29 because there was 1 more stolen last night.
And that's just
But
District 2?
that's just District 2. That's just right here.
And what was the time frame?
September 9th, so the last District 2 advisory board meeting until the 6th, which is yesterday.
One a day.
And it's about
6.
At least you know where today was.
Yeah, on that one day, where you were past it, I don't know. I'm not sure. To hit briefly on the arsons, that I was doing some follow-up on that one arson case out there on 159. There was another one over there, and we did see video. We haven't partnered with the fire department yet, but like I said, like the fire department said, if it does come to us, then we do partner and work together on that. So from what I saw in the video, it looked like a juvenile, a teen. And what was used was a little bit different than what I've seen before. But of course, I'm not the expert. So, any other questions for me?
I just wanted to mention, I did a ride-along over the weekend, 3rd shift on North Patrol, and it was a really good experience. So if anyone here has not done one, I would recommend you take an evening or day to do one because it's a pretty interesting experience and gives you a little more appreciation for what you guys do.
You're in leadership workshop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
And
thanks.
we welcome ride-alongs. It's an education in and of itself.
How many people have been around? You should do it. Or you can do it with fire or police, right? Yeah, fascinating.
All right.
All right, thank you
guys
for your
having me.
service. Thank you very much.
All right,
Stay
take
safe.
care.
All right, Alan, we've missed you. Welcome back.
Thank
Park and
you.
Rec.
Alan Tabor, I'm the supervisor at Edgemore Recreation Center in the city of Wichita. I love everybody's smiling faces, so that's what I like about
Now talk
Wichita.
about pandering.
Couple of things going on. We just held, and I told Becky earlier, I liked her news article about the pickleball questions. If you don't know it, pickleball's gone crazy. If you don't know what pickleball is, just go right over here because they're playing right now. We had the Bob Jackson, who initiated pickleball for the park department and has, since he's deceased, we had his pickleball tournament September the 28th. We played indoor and outdoor. We have 3 courts indoors. We have 6 outdoors. We had 48 teams, which accumulates 96 people that played in this tournament. And one of their goals of this pickleball group, and if you haven't heard this, you have now, because it's so big, they want lights on the pickleball courts so they can play later. And it's understandable. It's a benefit to the community. It's a benefit to our park because those pickleball people out there tend to just keep the riffraff out. And it is a benefit, and especially if those lights are on at night, it also helps. They raised $2,400 just in that one tournament for lights. I don't know how much they've got to raise, but it's a lot more. You know, they got poles, and of course there's certain height they have to be, and certain type of wattage and all that good stuff. But so far in the last year, this volunteer group has raised $6,000. And so if you work for a company that might want to help benefit them, please think about helping them out because they are soliciting money. They're going to work with the Park Foundation, possibly. So they have a 501c3 and tax exempt and all that good stuff. So they're attempting to get lights. And of course, they want it above and beyond. They want to be a model. They want this to be a model for the city, not only just the city of Wichita, but for the nation. They would like to have, you know, picnic tables out there. They'd like to have benches. They'd like to have an arch in some time so that they can go out there and have a really nice facility. So anyway, I preach the pickleball. I initiated the pickleball for the park department here at Edgemore. If you haven't been in our gym, we now have a padded floor so that it's better on your knees and stuff. And that was all assisted by these volunteers getting grants. So they've been a real benefit to us. The other things I'll mention, Halloween in the park is October the 25th. That is at Edgemore Park. It is co-sponsored by multiple agencies, Davis Moore, primarily the Park Department and Wesley Children's Hospital. Wesley Children's Hospital, they bring their doctors in, they have teddy bears, they take their teddy bears in and get shots and put Band-Aids on them and take blood pressure and for the kids. It's all a safe event for the kids. We have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 participants come. We start from 6 to 9. It's from 6 to 9. There'll be a line out there at 5 o'clock when you get in. So, and it's all free. They give away candy, toothbrushes, all sorts of good things. The other thing, I'll pat myself on the back a little bit. Me and my staff, we offered 37 variety of classes this last session this fall. I'm sorry, take that back. Yeah, 37. Out of 37, only 2 of them got canceled because of insufficient funds or insufficient participation. That includes fencing, that includes genealogy, course of pickleball, tennis, art classes, and of course our fitness classes. So we had a really good fall session, and hopefully it will continue in the winter. And that always depends on the weather just a little bit. You know, our winter session starts up in January the 6th, and if it snows January the 1st, guess what? Our registration sometimes stinks, but we'll hope for good weather. So.
That's great. Any questions for Adam?
Yeah. One last thing, a night with Santa is coming up. It's December 5th, I believe. It's on a Thursday, and it's at Century 2. Again, it's one of those free events the park department puts on. We provide prizes and awards and games and stuff for all the children in the community. And it's all free. That's all. Questions? It's always a pleasure to see all of you. I told several of you, my time is winding down. And I'm trying to get some of the younger ones to have the opportunity to share with you. And they all got great ideas too and new programming. So please make them feel welcome today. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll be at pickleball next Monday or Wednesday.
Okay.
So I'll see you next week.
All right.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Everyone's favorite, Savannah.
So I'm the Savannah Ball, I'm the Rockwell Branch Library Manager. I was just going to talk about some of the upcoming programs we have going on. On October 26th, which is a Saturday, we'll be hosting a drop-in program called Paper Puppeteers that will give families an opportunity to create puppets using a variety of different material. On November 13th, which is a Wednesday, from 6:30 to 7:15, we'll be hosting a program called Coding Without Computers. Lego Mazes is the objective for that one. And that will be for kids ages 8 to 11. And they're going to be learning the basics of coding logic using Lego bricks. So our children's librarian, Katrina, will be teaching kids how to write an algorithm to help their minifigure navigate a Lego maze that the kids will create. On October 29th, from 2:30 to 3:30, we'll be hosting a program called Youth Books Year in Review. Library staff will be sharing what's new in children's books with homeschool families, grandparents, and anyone that's good looking for a great new book for their children. And then caregivers will be invited to bring their children to that program, as there will be small activities for the children to participate in while the adults are learning about the kids' books. And then the final thing is we'll be hosting a 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten event. 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten is a program that we have caregivers and parents sign up for. We challenge kids to read 1,000 books before they reach kindergarten. So as soon as a child's born, their caregiver can sign them up for that and then start recording books that they've read. They can read the same book more than once. It's really just about reading 1,000 times before you reach the age of 5 or going to kindergarten. And so we're having a special event that is only for families who are signed up for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And we're going to be hosting the Sugar Free All-Stars for a concert on Saturday, November 9th from 10:30 to 11:30 at the Advanced Learning Library and 2:30 to 3:30 at the Evergreen Library. Are there any questions for me?
Two comments. Number one, if anybody says there's nothing to do in Wichita, please let me know. We'll have a conversation. And this is your first recruit for 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so 6 months, right?
Yes.
So,
Not me, I'm out of kindergarten. I got a little one.
so you gotta get signed up, right?
Yep,
All right.
Santa's in his program. Yep, come in. We just have little sheets with circles, 100 circles per sheet. We have different prizes. When you reach 100, you get a tote bag. 500, you get a prize. 700, and then 1,000. Once you've read 1,000, you get a T-shirt that says "I read 1,000 books," and a gold card membership.
Thank you, Savannah. Thank you for
Is it too late to start?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's already mentioned this, but about the software stuff that we're implementing. The park department, the library, and city arts is implementing new software to where somebody can go online and register for any of the department's programs on the same software. And also the activity guide will include not only the library, but also the park department classes and also the city art classes. So it'll be a lot thicker. And but it's all in one book. So it'll be easy for you to look it over, and also you can call any of us and register for whatever you want to. And don't call me.
All right, so one of the things we always need to do is just to file the receipt, receiving file staff report, so I entertain a motion. Tracy moved, Tracy Adams, second.
Second.
Deal second. The deal second, and all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Fantastic. So on new business, thank you. It is my pleasure to introduce the wonderful, talented community all-star.
Man, this is only gonna go bad from here, isn't it? Yeah.
She makes it easy.
Yeah. So looking forward to hearing more about what our friends in the county are doing and how we can continue to partner together to make Wichita even better.
Yeah, I am Misty Brecker, Public Policy and Management Center at Wichita State, and we've had the pleasure of working with the county since January and putting together their strategic plan. And I would just echo Dave's comments earlier about transformation going on at the county. I think there's something to be said about muscle memory, and that folks in leadership and the organization has just really responded, and they're doing great things over there. So I want to play the game. So what I love about Wichita is I know so many faces around this room because there's such a commitment to people being involved in public service, and I know you in different hats, so it's great to see faces here and doing this work. Sedgwick County, I'm not going to go over all the details here. This is the short version of it. We have been working since January. We've had over 150 leaders within the county involved in putting this together. We've had over 1,000 staff people involved. So one of the goals from this was really to energize the employees to get that ownership to move forward. So you will see in the mission that they talk about things about partnerships are critical, and that was one of the things that came out of this conversation, and really the dedicated employees that make all services possible through there. Their vision, the comments focus in on public trust, and really making that a cornerstone of the work that they do. Innovative solutions. There will never be enough resources in this world to solve all the problems that exist in public service. And so how do we think about these challenges differently? And then I think the last part on the opportunities and success for all, the county serves a lot of different populations through human services, especially Dee knows that well, and making sure that they're creating opportunities for everybody to have a successful life. And so I think that's really important for them. Their values, again, focus in on trust, integrity, collaboration, and I say that as city representatives, all of you, they are very open and wanting to see that both with their local government counterparts, but also with nonprofits and community members in this conversation. And compassion and innovation. And so again, going back to, we need to think of things differently about how we're gonna solve some of these problems. If you turn the page over, this is all the different departments within Sedgwick County. So if you're like, what does the county do, which is a question we are often asked about, the difference between city and county, there are numerous departments. Our plan focuses in on this first ring, and so all of these other dozens of departments will feed into this plan. Many of them have their own strategic plan. Our work really was to set the very high level, the big issues that we need to be talking about. That does not in any way reflect the incredible amount of work that's going on within this organization, but it's very much to set this high level expectations to feed into for that. So general government, these are issues that we heard no matter what part of the organization that they were in. These are topics of concern. So alternative service delivery method, I'm on page 3 here if you're following along. Really thinking about who else can be involved in delivering of services, whether that's in contracting services out, whether that's in partnerships or consolidating within a critical part of conversations. Diversity, our community only continues to become more diverse, and to celebrate that and to think about how the county reflects that in their employees, their programming, and their projects that they do. Talent is a community issue, and they want to be partners in making sure we are keeping talent within our community. Unlike the city of Wichita, there are several elected and appointed positions within the county beyond the Board of County Commissioners. As you know, a county is a creation of the state, unlike a city, which incorporates and says we're going to be a city. The county is only created by the state. So there's a lot of regulations that come down from the state that counties have to do, and that's why we have so many elected positions. And so that gets lost sometimes in translation about what those demands are put on our county. So really trying to focus on that. employees, sustainability and economic development, again, thinking of the community as a large, and then employee safety is a thing to hear about, especially when you think of folks who go out and are working in social services, healthcare, public safety. They are on the streets in those environments, and making sure that our employees are safe and that is really important. So those are the big overriding issues under general government. Each of these areas had their own task teams involved. So public safety, there's over 10 departments involved in public safety. Topics we talked about there was consolidation. So specifically fire is one that's a hot conversation. Did not mean that kind. Fire is one, a big conversation in that situation. But there are other opportunities for consolidation, or at least thinking about how to merge services, not only just the city of Wichita, but within the organization and elsewhere too. Legislative action, again, being an entity of the state, there's a lot of work that with the court systems, with incarceration and corrections that come down from that. Our police officer has left it, and recruitment is huge in public safety. There's just the number of applicants coming in, both in police and corrections and the detention, but also with fire. There's just, how do we recruit more folks to go into this work is a big issue that we see here across the country as well. And then once we get them in, how do we retain them? So there's a high turnover, especially in some of these areas, and so really focusing on keeping the best and brightest there. Mental health and substance abuse, this has been a big issue in the news lately, and really public safety is saying this is not our area. We are getting involved because it's coming to us and we're getting called out on it, but we are not equipped to handle the mental health and public safety. We really need to partner with our mental health experts on this. So we want to make sure we're clear on this. This is them saying we want to support the work that other people are doing, and how can we be a partner in that.
This is a
Yeah.
quick, a cool example of this is the ICT-1, is the Integrated Care Team. It is a partnership between the city and the county where for calls that are non-fire, non-emergent, that we can save money and taxpayer resources, but then also provide a better service by sending out fire, EMS, and a social worker from home care. And so it's actually getting people a warm referral for where, another pun, sorry, fire, but where they need to go, having that social worker, because many of these calls that fire we're going out on, we're not, for fires, it's for medical, and especially then if it's not a medical emergency. Anything you want to add to that?
No, it's been real successful.
The pilot.
Yes, it's a pilot. They're running Mondays and Fridays from 2 to 11, I believe, 2 to 12, somewhere in there. And they're running probably 10 to 12 people, mostly homeless people, or people that are having problems elsewhere every day. So it's been real successful.
Yeah, we're excited to see more and see if it's something we can continue to grow these things. So, great partnership with the city and the county.
Exactly what we're talking about. So the last few are really on reform that needs to happen a lot at the state and national level with criminal justice, making sure that we have the best communication possible to try to prevent public safety type of issues. And the last one is first responder care. So the suicide rate within first responders is significantly higher than general public, and so making sure that we are taking care of those folks is really important as a part of this work.
Can I throw one more thing?
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan support of Red Cross, and they every year award some of their volunteers with different designated awards. Sorry, that would be repetitive, but Tom Fletcher, many of you already know, used to work with CompCare, and he does a lot of this exact thing where he provides mental health services to first responders. And I nominated him, and he's going to get the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Very nice.
So he'll have it in December. So someone
Used to be my boss.
Yeah. So really great work that he's done. Excited to see him recognized for helping so many who help so many.
Yeah. In the area of public works takes in everything from roads and bridges, as you would think of, but also environmental services and planning services, and so it's a big tent. So the first goal really is just continuing to work on these major capital projects that are multi-jurisdiction, and not to lessen that, but these are huge efforts that we're talking about that we just kind of summarize there. Renewable energies, there's a lot of talk on the wind farms, and so I think being proactive on that for the county is important, and how we think about what opportunities and regulations need to go along with those opportunities. Same thing with housing and zoning. We know there's different demands if you are in the real estate world about what people are wanting in homes and houses and the generational differences. And so how do we think about infrastructure to support that need? Walkable communities, again, just the health factors and the connections that are important to create with walkable communities. County doesn't actually do that, but they do help connect those worlds. Water supply and flooding, both the county does not have a direct involvement with that, but making sure that there's intergovernmental relations with that. Human services, Dee is gonna promise not to quiz me, but she's been actively involved in this area of development, and to give it only 5 bullet points here, it does not do it justice because it's a much longer document. But human services is everything from calm care and disability and health, and Department on Aging, and so really a wide span of services that are offered in here. They really focused in on 5 areas. The first one is access, just trying to get the service to as many people as they can, in collaboration with community partners. Communication, I think this really talks about stigma. I think we're doing better as society talking about mental health type of issues, but still a long ways to go, and just the need for help. And so really, county's been leading on this for a long time, and so continuing that effort on the value of getting this help. Partnerships, there's a lot of social service agencies. If you've been following the mental health and substance abuse task force, a lot of this is about how can we work better together, again, leveraging resources. And again, with the conflict on innovation, there's always going to be more challenges than we can solve alone. So how do we do this differently? And goal 5, some of the folks at Sedgwick County are nationally recognized for the work that we do, and we just don't see that enough here locally, but they are called on for their programs that they implement and for the professional knowledge that they have. And we need to be really boasting, like, we do good stuff here, and we have some experts in the field that really make our communities better and can serve others more effectively. And so we really want to make sure that applies there. The last one, in culture and recreation, Sedgwick County does, well, not only provide, but also funds other cultural organizations, and really thinking about how they do that. The last 2 pages are very internal. You are welcome to take that and go with it, but I'm not going to go through all those bullets because it's more internally noticed. The only one I would really highlight for you is on communication. I think the county has hit head on this issue of public trust, that there's nothing that they do or ever will do that's more important than making sure that they have the trust of their community, and the positive impact that has. And so they're really trying to talk about that and to promote that as a part of their communication strategy. So I'll be glad to answer questions.
Next time to introduce Dan.
Yeah, Dan Williams has been partner in crime and getting this pulled together. So if there's any word changes, that goes to Dan, right? And so yeah, we've been wordsmithing this one to death. And so
Formerly City of Wichita.
Yep.
Okay. I'm a District 2 person, Colorado. And my favorite thing, I'm gonna steal this from Janet.
hard to beat that. Yeah. Any questions I can answer for you?
So I would just be curious, so you have the goals that you have here, what's the next stage? Like, how do you drill down to the measurable and, the plans for, what are the tracking the outcomes, and what's the next step?
What's the next step? So we are doing meetings in the community, each area, to let you know this is going on. The full plan will be adopted in November, and each of these has measurements associated with it. The lead person for accountability and a time frame where you should expect implementation. So that will all be part of that. I would also say then what we've also done is created a template for departments to create their own strategic plan to feed into this. And that's where you get, I think, measurements that are probably a little more easier to track and probably of interest to community members as well. So they do a lot of good work at the department level. So that will all be online and available. These are kind of the big highlights of where we're at.
And it may need to look a little bit different, like, for example, in Health and Human Services, we're talking about access. Access looks different at the health department than it does at ComCare, than it does at my shop. And all of our departments do work on behalf of state agencies, most of us. So that's a lot of it's driven by our contracts with the state too.
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about, like you were talking about the Park Service, they had access to a lot of the systems. And then the last thing on here is cybersecurity. I don't worry about too much intercommunication that would lend itself to single point of failure for a cyber attack, which has been kind of common among bigger cities.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
And that's the number one priority.
Yeah, if the IT director is here, he would agree with you on that point. So yeah, so the bullet points under this are about the audit process that they're going to, and some private companies that are also helping to look at that. But they do absolutely agree with you on that point and are taking that very seriously.
And then the legislative thing is, can we see what the priorities of our legislative action plans are? You know, we're the biggest city in the state, but we're not the capital, and we're not near Kansas City. And I don't know how much collaboration there is among legislators in the area, but it seems to me that would be important that our voice would be heard and effectively.
And Councilmember Tuttle or Mayor might be able to answer this more, but I know the city, the county, the chamber, Ray, and I think in this WSU and others have a collective agenda that they put together. So,
and we're in the process of developing legislative platform for Cedar County. I mean, this is kind of the time of year that everybody starts kind of working on what are our key issues, and there are a lot of times when it overlaps. And we also, I think, collaboratively host legislative receptions and conversations with the South Central delegation. So yeah, there's a lot of engagement with our local legislators.
I talked to 3 times in church today, so we're in communication significantly about state issues, local issues. Anything else from this? Great job.
Thank you all for your service.
Thank you for all your work on this process. Great job. All right, so the last thing is adjourn. I know that y'all want to stay, because normally we're here for a couple hours. We can hang out for a while, or we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
Second,
and Nick. Nick, knock it out of your best. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we are adjourned, so all of you guys are supposed to say aye. But we will see you on, it says Monday, but it's actually Tuesday, November 12th. So we'll send you plenty of reminders. But thank you for your time and your service, much appreciated.